I gotta say, the new look Caitlin Clark, it's not gonna be good for opponents. It's really not. Like, look at how much bigger she's gotten. Like, yeah, you know, Stephanie White saying Caitlin Clark's gotten stronger. Yeah, Caitlin Clark has gotten strong.
Game after game, the cycle continues. Another brutal hit, another deafening silence from the referees. Caitlin Clark faces relentless harassment, intimidation, and outright physical attacks, yet those in charge remain indifferent, allowing the injustice to persist unchecked.
Angel Reese taking on Caitlin Clark, and I gotta tell you, I caught the game in the third quarter, and as I watched the game, it was evident to me, and probably evident to a lot of you if you played or you coached, I know many of you do, that there's a distinct difference between the two teams.
The latest footage has emerged, something more shocking than anything we've seen before. A moment so raw, so emotionally charged, that even coach Stephanie White couldn't hold back her tears. But what pushed things to this breaking point? How did the tension spiral out of control? Buckle up. The Indiana Fever saga is about to erupt.
Reaction after this controversial foul on Caitlin Clark.
Unnecessary.
Clark's Indiana Fever taking on the Chicago Sky on Saturday. The Sky's Kennedy Carter hitting a shot, then heading over to Clark and shoulder checking her. The refs called it a common foul, but the league yesterday...
Let's be honest. WNBA rookies have always had to fight for respect. But what's happening to Caitlin Clark? This goes beyond proving yourself. This is something entirely different. From the moment she stepped on the court, she's been a target. Cheap shots, blatant shoves, full-on assaults that should be automatic flagrant fouls. And yet, the refs do nothing. And what do WNBA veterans say? That's just part of the game. She's a rookie. She has to earn her place. It's always been this way. Really? Then name one player, just one, who has ever faced even a fraction of what Caitlin Clark is dealing with. You can't. Because the truth is, no one has. And that's when it hits you. This isn't just basketball anymore.
Clark has personally received 17% of the flagrant fouls called. Literally, she's been fouled 70 on flagrant fouls. 17% of them have been against her personally. We spoke about the Cheryl Swoop situation. We've spoke about the numbers, the ratings. We've spoken about the resentment that Caitlin Clark has been receiving, not by most.
Of 32 have been on Caitlin Clark. That's where we get the 17% from. And those were earlier in the season, and I think she's passed the physicality test. By the way, pace, space, it will out-trump physicality every day of the week, like when the Mavericks won the championship in 2011, and they had Jason Kidd, and they were playing Miami and LeBron, and no matter how good, how fast, how athletic, how high you jump.
Not by all, but by, to be quite honest, too many. If you had your druthers moving forward, looking at the rest of this WNBA season, looking at the state of women's basketball moving forward, what's your wish and what needs to happen in order for your wish to be achieved and fulfilled? Last word is yours.
Well, what you just said is true. 17%, that's five of those fouls.
When Diana Taurasi threw an elbow, flagrant foul. When Brittany Griner took a hard hit, immediate whistle. But when Caitlin Clark gets slammed to the ground, silence. Nothing. Play on. It's as if there are two sets of rules, one for the league and another for Caitlin Clark. But why? Because this isn't just about basketball. This is about something much bigger.
Harassed by Carrington. Finds Boston. Clark gets hit in the face by Carrington and is down. Caitlin Clark is down. No call as Connecticut takes advantage. And Clark is still down after...
The refs aren't just allowing physical play. They're enforcing an unspoken rule. A rule that says Caitlin Clark deserves this because of who she is, and this is where it gets really dark. The WNBA wants you to believe this is just tough rookie treatment. But let's be real, this is something else entirely. Look at who's throwing the cheap shots. Look at who's taking them. If you're part of the right group, you can take a shot at Caitlin Clark. Say the right things afterward, and suddenly, an elbow is just part of the game. This isn't just basketball anymore.
One-on-one, Sammy Whitcomb with 8 seconds left. Goes around to Gumake, drives baseline, and shot rejected by Izzy McMagor. Second opportunity is up and in by Nalissa.
To some in this league, Caitlin Clark isn't just a rookie. She's a symbol of something they can't stand. And that's exactly why the refs won't protect her. That's why players keep getting away with it, and that's why this latest footage is so heartbreaking. After one of the hardest hits yet, she took another brutal shove, crashing to the floor. No call, nothing. And as she got up, it was written all over her face: frustration, exhaustion, disbelief.
Reaction after this controversial foul on Caitlin Clark.
Unnecessary.
Clark's Indiana Fever taking on the Chicago Sky on Saturday. The Sky's Kennedy Carter hitting a shot, then heading over to Clark and shoulder checking her. The refs called it a common foul, but the league yesterday.
The defining moment came from coach Stephanie White. For the first time, she lost control. Frustration, emotion, and helplessness overwhelmed her as she realized this had gone beyond basketball in that instant. The message was clear. Enough is enough. So, what happens now? Will the WNBA finally step in? Will the officials start calling the game fairly? Or is this just the beginning of something even worse? One thing is certain. Caitlin Clark isn't backing down. And if anyone thought they could break her, they were dead wrong.
Me, I. And here's the thing about Reese. Players are smart. Really smart. Players see what's going on here, the ones on her own team. Down 25, the coach is keeping her in the game to get 2 rebounds to get a double-double, or get 3 points to get a double-double. Players look at that and they under-eye, they side-eye, they're like, that's crap. And the media's falling for it, right? I mean, look, I saw yesterday, Stephen A. Smith said, Caitlin Clark is the Rookie of the Year. Oh, my ass. All you had to do was watch that game last night. One's a lumbering, stumbling, bumbling me person, and the other's a baller. B-A-L-L-er. Baller. And one of the reasons.
She's been carrying the league on her back since day one, and no matter how many times they knock her down, she'll rise again, stronger, tougher, and more determined than ever.
And it's one of those things where you've got Caitlin Clark, a player who, as great as she was not physically strong last season. We can admit that. Like, she was not the most physically strong player in the world, and she still had one of the better rookie seasons ever.
She's been carrying the league on her back since day one, and no matter how many times they knock her down, she'll rise again, stronger, tougher, and more determined than ever.
Clark effect is not dying. Like, I don't feel like we have seen a dip in just, how do I even put this into words, just how much people care about Caitlin Clark, care about what she's doing. She has not touched a basketball court. We've seen one workout video from the Indiana Fever. We have not seen her play for however many months. People are still so tapped in and tuned into her life, tuned into the Indiana Fever, tuned into all the Indiana Fever's moves. Like, I felt like there was a moment in time, there was a week where all this free agency stuff was happening, and it was so exciting. And I cannot remember at any point in time where there was a moment like that in the WNBA where people were just locked in, like, what is this team going to do? Where is this player going to go? And they captured the fans during this offseason. And I feel like this second season, her second season in the league, the second year for the Indiana Fever when they're at this stage, it's probably just going to get bigger. They've already announced that the games played in Chicago are going to be played at the NBA arena. So they're already starting to move to different arenas when they go into these smaller cities. And I just don't see the Caitlin Clark effect, the growth of women's basketball.
When Caitlin Clark first entered the league, she had the skill, vision, and deep three-point range that made defenders sweat. But let's be honest, she was lean, a finest player in a league dominated by physicality. The WNBA's toughest veterans saw their chance and took it. They shoved, elbowed, and knocked her to the floor, knowing she wasn't yet at their level physically, but now. That's a different story. Coach Stephanie White has been closely watching Caitlin's transformation, and the results speak for themselves. She's not just taking the hits anymore, she's giving them back. Her relentless commitment to strength training has completely reshaped her game. Her endurance is higher, her explosiveness is sharper, her defensive stance is stronger, and most importantly, She's no longer an easy target. This isn't the same Caitlin Clark who entered the WNBA as a rookie. The players who relied on bullying tactics, the ones who thought they could intimidate her, they're in for a rude awakening. Because Caitlin Clark isn't just surviving anymore. She's fighting back.
Like, everyone's talking about how much stronger Caitlin Clark's gotten. Like, it is just factually a thing. I look at the size difference in 1 year. So you're now looking at a player that is just a tank. You're looking at a player who's big, who's strong, who's who's going to be able to continue to do everything she's doing. Like, she's not too big, which is obviously a big thing. If she was too big, then you'd be a little bit worried, but she's not too big. She is obviously going to be a lot stronger, but now you're looking at a situation where she's going to be one of the not stronger guards in WNBA, but she's going to be strong enough on the defensive end that's going to help her. So hard to hide Caitlin Clark on defense is that she's not very good at guarding point guards, and you can't really put her guarding small forwards just purely because guarding small forwards purely because they're just physically bigger than she is. And she was getting posted up a lot. They were attacking her on the inside. They were getting her on switch.